What's going on, guys? Winter Wolf here, King Z on the other side. We saw this ridiculous thing in theaters. Actually, we saw it on Hulu because I wasn't spending $15 because it seemed kind of ridiculous. Dude, Five Nights at Freddy's? Is this even anything you've even heard of? It seems kind of silly.
I had no idea. It just kind of popped up.
Oh, oh. What's going on? Got some weird lighting issues here, dude. I don't know. It's kind of like what the movie bit was all about. Dude, what are you looking at over there? Welcome back, guys. It was just a little gag we were doing for Halloween. Hope you enjoyed. So, Winter Wolf and King Z here. We're going to talk Five Nights at Freddy's. So this is one we've had on the hunt down list for a while. I think most of the media came out for this probably about a year ago. That we were finally getting a movie based on what I guess is a fairly robust PC game, now on console kind of franchise. Sells pretty well. It's been around for a while. And I don't think King Z or I have put in any serious time with this franchise. I've played a little bit because my little that helped us with the production gag earlier, he's a big fan. So this is out there in the zeitgeist. This is a pretty popular thing. You might have seen merchandise in stores, dude, like in the Target toy section and things like that. There's t-shirts, there's lunchboxes. This shit's everywhere. So finally a movie comes out. It went Peacock and it went theatrical same day, which, typically I'm not a fan of. And I know King Z's got some opinions on the idiocy of when Marvel did that a couple of years ago with things like Black Widow, stuff like that. It financially just doesn't, Mulan too, over at Disney. Doesn't seem like a good idea to give some shit away for free on the same day you're asking other folks to plunk down 15 a ticket. If you had any opening thoughts on the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise or the day and date and release, the strategy that they went with?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I've actually never heard of it. I didn't know anything
Oh,
about it.
wow.
I never played the video game, never heard of the video game. Then I wasn't even sure the movie was coming out. Like I saw the trailer like 2 weeks ago. It was the first time I ever saw a trailer or ever heard about it.
Really?
Yeah, just was not in
Wow, dude.
my target sphere. So
You didn't catch a trailer for this at Gran Turismo? Because I thought I had. Maybe that might be by region,
yeah,
though. I don't think that's the same everywhere. True.
yeah.
Yeah, all right,
I
so
didn't
that
know
means
anything
that
about it.
means we're
I
both
went
going in.
completely blind into
So
this
we're both going
movie.
in vanilla. Yep. True. Me too. Because I mean, outside of knowing a little bit, just from having supervised, my kid playing the game and making sure that it's kid appropriate. I'll say this up front for the other parents and other old heads in the going to be watching the video. Not kid appropriate, guys. It's not. The game's fairly cartoonish and bloodless. So you can get away with, if your kid can handle the funny jump scares in the game, you're fine. I can imagine King Z, you wouldn't let a 10-year-old or under, which is kind of the core demographic for the game. You're probably not letting your 10-year-old see this, I would imagine.
I mean, it wasn't all that bad. I
Oh,
glad it
okay.
wasn't too gory, like a Saw type
Yep.
ripoff or anything like that. But
Right.
I don't know. I think 10 might be too young. Maybe like 11, 12 might be. Get them
Yeah,
in.
it's a
Yeah,
preteen. Yeah, entry level horror for
yeah. Like
preteens. But like your single digit kids,
no,
no
no.
way. Some of that imagery is fairly terrifying, and the opening, we'll just jump right into it. The opening legit feels like Saw. Like it's fairly terrifying. It's gritty. It's kind of grainy. It's
Yeah.
tense. I thought right off the rip that was pretty
Before we
good.
get too far, you asked me about the
True,
double
I forgot.
release, and I think that's
Yeah,
actually right now a would be a positive for Peacock because, like you said, you're dropping 15 at a theater when you can get Peacock
yep,
for $7.99 a month, and I'd rather pay $7.99 a month and get Peacock and everything it
yep,
offers and get a movie like
yep,
this. So, and they're trying to make money
yep,
in this bad economy. So
yep.
you weigh it out. You're paying half, and you're paying $7 instead of $15 a pop. Think of my friend,
That's a good
my
point.
friend Rob. It would be him, his four boys, and his one girl
Oh wow.
to go see this.
Yep,
I mean,
yep. $60 gone. About $80 gone right
yeah.
out the window on a
So
matinee.
$7.99 versus $80, not including refreshments and everything like that.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's a smart move
Yeah,
by
you're
Peacock
right.
to work out a deal to get this because then their subscription numbers come up because Peacock makes its money off of subscriptions. So for them, it's a great
True.
business idea.
Yeah, it makes solid sense too when you consider too for that $8 that you can spend for the month of Peacock, you can watch The Office on a loop for 30 days. You know what I mean? On top of just seeing
And
this, so it's not just that you rented this movie from
and
Peacock. You're
then
right.
and
It's a
then
good
for
point.
the filmmakers, they pretty much got their budget back because pretty much they'll probably sign like a 1 year deal, $20 million to have it on Peacock
Yep.
because Peacock streaming will make at least 1.2 billion on membership, so they can go ahead and spend 20 million on a movie for the fresh release. They get their budget money back, and then everything they make at the box office is just straight gravy.
Is that we were just talking a minute ago? Was 20 mil what you said
Yeah,
the budget was? Refresh my memory. It was
the
20
budget
million.
for this was 20 million.
Yeah. Dude, that seems right in line with a lot of the horror flicks that we've been talking about lately. They come in at the 20 mil or low or less, and then I think I saw the expected box office here 65 to 85. So if it comes in even at the sweet spot in the middle of that range, gravy, like you said. I mean, you really can't go wrong. But let's do that spiel that you're good at giving about inviting people to watch us take this Five Nights at Freddy's
All right,
journey.
so if you're here to watch this, it pretty much means you enjoy the content that we're doing. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, help us out. Hit that thumbs up if you do enjoy it, because that helps us in the algorithm and gets us to more people. And please hit that notification bell so every time we drop new content like this, you're getting notified so you don't miss a beat
Of our poorly edited and produced opening gags that were fun anyway, and that's just what we're gonna do. Anywho, dude, let's talk Five Nights at Freddy, right? Five Nights at Freddy's, right? Because we're both children of the 80s, 90s, in that range. So a lot of this stuff right off the bat to me felt like something I knew. It felt like Chuck E. Cheese.
Showbiz,
like
pizza.
I guess that was probably the inspiration.
There's a few of those different animatronic
right.
Type pizzerias back in the day.
Roll on America skating up here had all the animatronics at the skating rink. Dude, creepy as hell even back then. Dude, he's right. Dude, listen, this is actual in-movie footage of King Z being in Five Nights at Freddy's, because that's exactly what it looks like. You got the weird clenched jaw. We got hand strumming guitar kind of. Dude, it's where the robot thing came. It's where the dance came from. It didn't come from the 70s. It was Chuck E. Cheese. But a lot of it looked familiar right off the rip, and I wasn't sure that it was a period piece throwback to the 80s, but then I saw more as it goes through the movie, and I'm like, I think it was actually supposed to be set in the time frame. The cars were old, the Karen aunt's clothing was all 80s, like gold and silver shoes and shit like that. I don't think it was supposed to be a newish thing that just happened to look dated. I think it was
set late 90s, maybe early 2000s. So they referred to back in the 80s.
Did they say? Okay, I might have missed that one line. Okay.
So
true.
I don't think it's modern, like it's not 2020 time frame, but I think it could be like
not even close.
It'd be late 90s, early 2000s type time frame. Because you also have to think like with the tragedy that is the catalyst of this whole movie. You'd even tell that was set like early 80s, and like he's no older than like 33, 35. So I mean that still puts you at early 2000s. So.
True. I was just taking some of the visual cues just from the house they lived in. Had the 9 button panel, like push button phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There were no cell phones, no flat screen TVs anywhere, no modern video games. I didn't see any modern cars on the road or anything like that. So it felt, I mean, whatever year they were going for, it definitely felt older than present day. You know what I mean? Like the cops and the teachers didn't whip iPhone, 15 Pros out of their pocket when they were doing the obligatory online research scenes that horror flicks kind of get. We didn't get any of that in this, But before we break into like movie specifics, give me a 64,000 foot view of, did you enjoy this movie?
I didn't think it was that bad. Going in completely blind, as I said, not knowing anything about the source material. I thought it was a pretty enjoyable movie. I have some questions, but I mean, those are mostly just nitpicks and just, me being me. But other than that, it was pretty enjoyable. It was easy to follow. There was no big, like, super twist at the end. Pretty much if you followed it, you knew what was going to happen. So. Yeah.
You didn't feel left out of the loop, not being an avid fan of the franchise or playing the games or having read any of his books, his graphic novels. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. So it was pretty paint by numbers. I think I agree. It was an enjoyable enough affair, but I think down the stretch, some of the shine of just something new started wearing off for me. and a lot of what I thought they were trying to establish as the in-world lore kind of fell apart. It didn't. There were a lot of things in the dialogue that particularly what the actor's name is, what, Josh Hutcherson, he was Mike, was the lead male character,
from the Hunger Games.
was speaking to right, from Hunger Games, was speaking to the cop Vanessa, I think that's Abigail Lale, I think is her name. But they were saying things in dialogue back and forth to each other that were answers that each of those respective characters should have known, like on the spot. And I felt like they were really trying to clarify things for me as the viewer. And I'm like, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to say that. It's very clear that you know something about the building. It's very clear. It all just kind of, it felt odd down the stretch. Like, it was okay for the first 2/3, but I think that last block in particular, maybe it was editing, I'm not sure, but some of it just felt really forced. And it kind of, it eroded at least a star for me off the rating. We'll do the ratings at the end though. But you want to give everybody like a quick synopsis? Because I'm not doing a frame by frame for this. We're not doing a scene by scene.
So pretty much you have a middle-aged or early 30s, late 20s.
Early 30s. Yeah, definitely. He's not middle-aged. He's not a boomer.
Type guy who's taking care of a little girl. You find out later it's his sister. And he's struggling. You see he has some anger issues, but mostly he loses his job, has to find another one. He gets his job as security at a old Chuck E. Cheese type thing they call, was it Freddy's Fantastical Pizzeria or something like that?
Something like this. Freddy Fazbear is the name of the character.
Pizzeria.
Something like that. Freddy Fazbear. My kid will correct me. He's in bed now. So we're gonna go Chuck, not Chuck E. Cheese. Is what we're gonna call it.
He gets this job for bad pay. And worse hours, trying to make sure he's putting forth a good home for this little girl he's trying to take care of that someone is trying to steal custody from him. And then you have 5 nights and things go crazy while he works at night. But he has an underlying story too that's driving him, which was compelling in itself, which they do build as it goes, which is really good, especially when they start off when he's at his first job and he's talking about the book he's reading at the time. So
Dream Theory. That was pretty cool. Let me add to that. I think that backstory that they gave him is what separates this movie from being low-level mid to high-level mid for me. Without any of that backstory, like if they had tried to go for a carbon cutout of a very simple game, which is basically a hide-and-seek kind of game, it's you have to avoid being captured by the animatronics for a certain amount of time on the clock. You know what I mean? And that would have been intolerable to watch in a 90-minute movie. But by them giving the Mike character that backstory, and you can tell everybody a little bit about that. By them giving him that story, that's what we're talking about on this channel all the time, guys. Even if the execution doesn't work out in the long run, if they don't stick the landing, the effort was there to make this a 3-dimensional character that had a fatal flaw. He had a wound. You know what I mean? It was something he had to overcome in order to preserve what family he had left. Because this movie just kept throwing shit at this kid.
Yeah.
Like every time, it was almost on cue. Like every 8 to 10 minutes, the next bad thing happened to him. You know? And we find out that the person that he's having babysit the sister so he can work nights is actually in on the scam to get him to lose custody of the kid. I mean, it all comes in like awful like gut punches every 10 minutes. But tell us about his backstory.
We've been pretty vague right now, but right now we're going to put that spoiler banner right here and let you know we're going to spoil a lot of this movie. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and stop the video right here. Go watch the movie and then come back and finish it right now.
Good save before I blow the whole thing. Good call. Got a little ahead of myself, but get everybody up to speed on Josh Hutcherson's Mike Schmidt character. What was the fatal flaw? What was his fatal flaw? His emotional wound, besides the anger management, because that's the result.
You did see it build from the beginning of him at work the first day. He's there and he's getting like something to eat, and you notice a little boy standing by himself.
He's mall security, to get everybody up to speed.
Yeah, he's Paul Bart at this point. And he sees a little boy standing there by himself while he's ordering some ice cream, his usual apparently. And he sees a guy come up and grab his hand and I start like forcing the kid to come along. And he starts flipping out. he goes running after him, and then he beats this guy to an inch of his life in the
Yeah,
fountain.
Dude, he does.
Like fly,
he takes him down.
he's like fly tackle, like full Leon Let office linebacker hit right into the fountain.
Yeah, that was some Goldberg shit, dude.
And then just
it was like some Goldberg spear
beating him
shit.
down, trying to find out that it was actually the boy's dad, but he.
Because the poor kid is over there screaming, "Dad, Dad!" like terrified. Which, dude, knife in the heart. I'm like, oh my god, bad call, dude, bad call.
So Mike is a down and out, late 20s, 30 something, as we said. He is currently unable to hold down a job. We find out this later that this is like his 4th job in like 8 weeks. He's pretty much he has anger issues. You see, he has anger issues.
Yep.
And he goes to a job counselor to get him a job, played by none other than Matthew Lillard.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Out to my boy Matthew. You know, we've worked together. You watch one of our other reviews, you know it, true.
Yes, we've heard the story. Yes, we've heard it. Enough.
And then
great role for him. Great role for him in this one.
At this point,
keep going.
I knew something was up with Matthew Lillard. First off, you don't get an actor that big for such a small role to begin with. And number 2, the way he acted once he read the dude's name. So apparently there's something about his name that triggered the counselor and him. So like I said, if you actually pay attention, there are no big twists in this movie. And then he offers him a job. He's like, I got a job for you. And he's like, how's the pay? Bad, but it's not as bad as the hours.
Dude, it was actually, let me stop you right there. Dude, I was saying to my better half earlier, the movie actually had a good number of kind of funny jokes that played like that, where there was a bunch of, I felt like it was almost 80s humor. It really reminded me of old sitcom kind of humor with how it read. You know, to get that one particular scene there. I thought one of the death scenes was very 80s humor, where, like we said, we're spoiling, so I'm just going to jump ahead, where one of the people gets chomped in half by one of the animatronics. They show it in silhouette, so you just see the shadow, but the transition scene from that into the next part of the movie is a cartoon character swallowing something. And I'm like, dude, that's such a Bugs Bunny, Looney Tunes ass thing to do. They're like, we don't get that in like any other modern shit anymore. That was just a clever scene transition that I was like, oh, I didn't have to actually see some Saw stuff going down. I understand what just happened here, you know? So it kept an honest PG-13 rating. But yeah, Lillard, clutch. Hammed it up just enough in the beginning to not make it ridiculous, I thought. But he sold the weird job counselor role. Right. Pretty good.
You come to find out that she has no friends. The girl that he's taking care of has no friends, even though she refers to her friends.
Abby.
She's drawing all the time. Then comes down the showdown between him and his aunt, because she wants custody of her to get that monthly check. Anyone who's looked into doing foster care and stuff like that, you know that check ain't that big. I don't know why it's so big to fight for, but some people do anything for free money.
Easy money, dude.
So you have that at her school, and you can see that the counselor is on his side during this, and she's pretty much, she's like, well, he's like, I'm not going to look good in front of any judge. She has me that way, and she's like, well, start with getting a job, and then we'll go from there. And so he calls Mr. Lillard back. And he's like, you still got that job? He's like, yeah. And he's like, let me tell you about it. And he's like, all you got to do is, and here's a running joke too. He's like, there's only one job, and that's to keep everybody out.
Yep.
And tidy up. He's like, well, that's 2 jobs.
That's 2 things.
And that's,
again.
Good callback.
Yeah. Clever. I like it because it plays through. What I liked about this movie by this point, right, is you're only talking, I think, if my mental note is keeping up with us, it was only about 12 minutes that had gone by this point. We get the entire opening scene that I described in our intro, with the previous security guard getting strapped into the chair and getting animatronically mauled to the face by the title mask character, you know, the Freddy mask or whichever, right? We go right through that, right through the mall scene, right through the job counselor scene, right through the school counselor scene, and then boom, you're at Five Nights at Freddy's. You're at the restaurant. Like, you're there. and he's going through his bit where he's setting up and checking things out and this and that, and we see that he's already sleeping on the job, and we don't understand enough about his sleep process yet, but again, they build on that, and I appreciated that little bit of development too, where the main character is taking medications to induce a deeper dream state so he can recover memory that he's suppressed, lost, whatever, of a childhood crime that was committed on his family. Like his younger brother was kidnapped. And there, that's obvious. That connection gets made later. And he was there. He was supposed to be watching his brother. He went and played Frisbee with some other kids or some shit. And when he looked up, his brother was already being trucked off in a car. He was out of Dodge. But he's convinced that he can recover the memory of the license plate or the kidnapper's description or whichever. So he's throughout the movie sleeping a lot. And they mention that. Like the sister's like, oh, he sleeps a lot. The baby says like, oh, he sleeps a lot. And then, Aunt Karen's like, well, that's not a crime. I need you guys to actually, find me something illegal he's doing so I can yank this kid out of custody. So, I mean, they made a good attempt, I thought, at trying to develop. Basically, it was a one-man show for half the movie. He was it. The cop and the sister don't really come around that much until later.
When the cop shows up, that would be I would say, signaling Act 2. I think that would be hard
very much so
into Act 2 is when the cop first shows up. So, which would be would be night 2 at Freddy's.
Yep.
Other things he was doing for this dream to make sure he got the same dream, he was putting, and this also plays into the period part too, is he was putting headphones on and it was a tape that he was playing of like nature sounds.
Nature sounds.
And then he had a poster of Nebraska, which had like woods, which brought him back into the woods where they were staying. So he'd have the same dream. Trying to remember who kidnapped his brother. That
was a super 80s thing to do. And you're right, dude. It was on a Walkman. It wasn't on his iPhone, on his desk, playing through a Bluetooth, earbud. Like, nah, homie had like styrofoam covered, earmuffs on, over the earbuds on. So that's 100% correct. Now, tell me, give me impressions on the cop character. What did you think of her? Performance-wise, not even character-wise. Give me performance-wise first.
I think she did the best she could on what was written for her.
I think I agree. It was weak to a large extent, especially down the stretch when they get into what they wanted to be plot twist territory. I thought.
And at what point did you figure it out?
Dude, I mean, they made probably 3 or 4 appearances at the restaurant where she knew more than he did. I mean, maybe by like the second go. On the first go, I probably was thinking, oh, this is probably just a little girl from the area that grew up here, yada, yada. But when she starts knowing what's around the back behind the counter and where some of the supplies are, and she says, oh, I know. Oh, actually, not the first night. She goes, I know where the first aid kit is. How the fuck would you know that? This shit's been abandoned for 25 years. Why would you know the first aid kit, where it is in the inside of this building that's locked to the public? So, I mean, fairly early on, I figured there was something up there. The big twist, did you actually figure that out way ahead of time? How?
So,
well, look, we're doing spoilers, dude. Tell everybody what the spoiler is, and then Perry Mason that shit for me.
How I figured it out. First off, when Matthew Lillard's telling him about the job, and he said the only reason it hasn't got the bulldozer so far, not the wrecking ball, is because the owner is maybe a little sympathetic and doesn't want to let it go just yet. So that cued me off that the owner's still around. 2, she knew a lot about it.
Yeah, I got that.
When she said, do you want to dance with the things, like you could see that she's been there many, many times. So I was like,
true.
Oh, wow. She's the owner's daughter. And then
you went right there. Okay.
I'm like, she's the owner's daughter. And then from there, I figured out Mr. Lillard was the owner based on the yellow bunny suit, and he had a yellow bunny thing in his office. Boom!
Oh, I missed that. Good catch. Good catch, dude. Good eyeballs open on that, dude. Nicely done.
Yep. So I was about, I'd say, 35 minutes in the movie, and I knew that.
Just 25 minutes or so, dude. I mean, I think you took the intellectual way there. My gut just told me, like you said up front, you don't hire that guy and just have him be the guidance counselor for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like that there is a killer subplot here. Somebody is in charge of it. I didn't think that, I mean, there was a 1% part of my brain that thought it was the cop and maybe she was a descendant of it. I'm like, no, it's not that type of movie.
Did you catch his throwback to his first horror movie, which we've also reviewed on this channel? If you want to check it, hit this card right here and you can see our review of Scream.
Oh, I feel like I did, and now it's slipping by. Bro, cue me
He
in.
was standing there in all of his glory, and he
Yep,
goes,
yep.
he cleans the knife the same way.
Oh yeah, yeah, with the glove. Yeah, that was pretty dope. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Dude, let's break out a plot for a minute here and just talk aesthetic of the actual restaurant. Did it work for you as like the creepy PG-13 Saw environment? Because I think animatronics inherently creepy even when they're not decomposing. You get it in the right light, you know what I mean? You get some clunky, heavy RoboCop steps. What did you
I
think of
didn't
all
think it
that?
was all that creepy. I thought it looked accurate for a restaurant that's been closed for a while. Maybe even a little too nice
Yeah,
for a restaurant that's been closed since the 80s, and based on, we're still trying to figure out the time frame of the actual movie of when it's set, which I can't even see
yeah.
here on the description of when it's actually set. Like so but yeah, even after, so we talked about like his babysitter was actually hired by Karen the aunt to
Yep,
get dirt on him so she could get custody.
yep,
And so they gonna go in there and try to smash up the place that have him lose his job, which made him look bad in front of the judge, and then he'll
yep.
lose custody. And when they after the smash job that they did, still didn't look that bad. Even with his little cleanup job, it still really
Right,
still didn't look that
that's what I'm
bad.
saying. I know, dude. Let me hang you up right there and just get right into subplot stuff. Dude, that's probably the part that didn't work for me at all. I thought that was all largely stupid. The Aunt Karen character didn't need to be anywhere in the movie. That could have been a letter he got in the mail. We could have wrote that right out. The subplot of the babysitter being in on it and then her having her brother and a couple of his goon friends roll in there to smash the place
Well,
up. I mean, I guess the movie needed a body. They needed a body
yeah, they
list, I
needed
guess,
someone
and
that,
they were the
you had to
victims.
see the animatronics kill other than the
Expendable,
first.
right?
So you need because you only
Which
really
again,
saw one of the animals in the initial kill at the very beginning. So they had to show the other one,
right?
like introduce the other
True.
animatronics.
I mean, I guess again, like you said, it just didn't work for me in that. I don't know. I can't. I'm trying to put a pin in because I remember watching it, thinking to myself, so the security guard was there, got killed at the beginning. Like, why kill that guy? I'm like, I don't get it. He's just doing a security job. Like, he's supposed to be there, I guess. I don't know. Like, what was Lillard's motivation for having that guy killed? Like, don't know. And then the bit with with everybody that came later, like, we're gonna smash the place up. Like, that dude couldn't just go to his boss and be like, well, I padlocked that shit at 7 a.m. You've got security cameras that show nobody came in at 7 a.m. and like somebody broke in after the fact. Like, how am I fired?
Yeah,
And it's like Craig getting fired on his day off on Friday. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, you weren't even there. How'd you get fired,
you get
dude?
fired on
Like,
your
you
day
get fired
off.
for stealing boxes.
Dumb.
You
You
get fired on your day.
day
That's what I'm
off.
saying. Dude, that's what I'm saying, dude. So I was like, all right, I get it. This movie, it's not supposed to be, you know what I mean, as airtight as it could. But I was just like, I don't like it was too loose of a scenario for me to fully buy
Yeah,
into, especially with the
and
Aunt
that's when
Karen
the
thing.
cop jumped in, and she was like, "You left the door unlocked. Like he wasn't completely
Yeah, how do
focused."
you know? How do you know? How do you know I left the door unlocked? Like, come on. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. I
she was
could have. I
confronting
might
him on
not
the
have. I don't know.
sleeping
Check the
pills and
cameras.
stuff.
Right. Yeah. Just check the camera. Oh wait, I was there. Nobody was there until I left. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe I left the door open. Maybe I didn't. I didn't. I thought she was okay. As like the driving force of that subplot. I guess I don't know. It just seemed a little. It seemed a little thin to me. Let's actually talk about the backstory of like what was going on with with the Lillard character and his serial killing child kidnapping background. Like, that's the crux of it, is that he's been a child killing kidnapper for like
Since
three
since the
decades.
80s.
You know,
He
right,
might have been in his cooling off period because apparently no other kids have disappeared since Freddy's,
right.
other than Mike's brother.
Which again, so and I thought this. So this is the part where it started to lose me a bit. So we had the five kids that inhabit the five various animatronic
Yep.
suits, because the lore of it is these kids were murdered and then stuffed inside the suits. The bodies were hidden in the one place authorities wouldn't look. I guess they
Yeah,
didn't smell anything.
because
I don't know.
they lied
So
about the animatronics, which you saw in the security videos, that they can move around on their own, but they're actually
right,
suits that you can wear and move
right.
around. and it was
Right.
proprietary technology that let them move around on their own.
Right. Which looked creepily like a saw trap when we actually got to see the inside of one, which I did enjoy. I thought that was pretty cool watching that function. But so we got we got the 5 suits. They're programmed by Matthew Lillard to be evil murdering fucks, or are they actually possessed by the spirits of the 5 kids that
They're
this dude saw in the
possessed
dream?
by the 5 kids.
Okay.
And the reason
That's what I thought.
why they listened to him, and this was a glowing art through the whole thing, was imagery. Her pictures.
Yep.
They said that kids
Yep.
communicate with pictures more than they do with words,
They hammered
especially
that.
during their
Oh, yeah.
developmental years. And like
Yep.
she was always talking about like how he was the center of the thing, because she was the most important person. Well, everything that they
Right.
saw, because they were still kids, they weren't processing words and everything like they should yet, and they were still big on the imagery. They're about the same age as Abigail, which is the sister.
Yep.
And you
Yep.
see this wall of pictures all around, and
Mhm.
it shows that the yellow bunny is their friend. And because they're in a flux state of ghost and living type thing, they believe the
Yep.
pictures that whatever the bunny tells them to do is what they should do. You come to find out the bunny is the person who killed them to begin with. And when you have to
Right.
change their mindset by changing the pictures.
Which was a pretty slick, I thought, method that they defeat the bad guy at the end by getting the animatronics to kind of turn on Matthew Lillard at the end there. So that was pretty good. I mean, I guess that's about as much explanation or exposition as I think I need to make this kind of movie work. Like, I don't need to know how Jason keeps coming back to life. Like oh, he got struck by a bolt of lightning. Okay. Oh, he fell into the water and the freeze shocked him back awake. Okay. You know what I mean? Like there was they set it up when they were talking about imagery. You know, the school teachers were talking about that. That makes sense to people watching it because we know that to be a thing. So it's psychologically and socially valid, you know. And then they work that through going through the end. So I guess that makes sense. I guess if he had the 5 and he kidnapped Garrett, Mike's brother, were there other kids? Like you said, was that the last one? And then he went into like the cool down mode and that was it. And Mike's brother's disappearance was the end game for him.
Yeah. I don't
You know,
know.
and then he changed his name and became a guidance counselor. I don't
Career
know. I think I might have just
counselor.
retired and gone somewhere else. Career counselor, unemployment guy. I don't know that shit. So yeah, I think
that does it.
it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, dude, I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I enjoyed watching it. I'll never watch it again. It's not deep enough. It didn't catch me or arrest me or anything like that. I'll say this before we go. Josh Hutcherson outacts everybody in circles. Like, he turns on the emotion when he's angry, when he's scared at the end. There's bits where he was broken up about his brother, where he had that moment of weakness where the spirits of the 5 kids were asking for his sister, you know, and then we can put you in this permanent dream state that you want to be in, blah, 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 like lying to him. You know, they're trying to do the thing. But when he realizes the mistake he had made, he outacts, like he outdoes everybody in the movie.
Oh, yeah. One of the reviews I read out there on Google,
yeah, he nailed it.
It says it's a decent movie that Josh Hutcherson and Matthew Lillard did the best they could with what was written.
Yeah. I think Matthew Lillard can always rely on being himself in anything. Like, he's one of those guys. Hutcherson, I think, elevated the material he was given. I think, like you said, I think it's Allison Lale was Vanessa, the police officer. I don't know her from anything else. I didn't look her up. She was there to me. She's cute. I mean, she seems likable enough.
Elizabeth.
I don't think she didn't.
There.
Oh, my bad. Elizabeth Lale. Is she in it? Are you readily looking at that? Does she have a filmography of anything we'd know her from?
Pull it up. The power of the
Let's do it.
interwebs.
Never heard of that one.
You?
You what?
You. That's the name of the show. You.
You who? Oh, yeah, no, I know that show. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's like a serial killer Dexter ripoff on Netflix, I think.
She was a voice in Robot Chicken. 5 episodes of Gossip Girl.
Okay. Like I said, I don't recognize her from anything I watched. She was okay. Maybe she'd be amazing in something else, but they didn't give her a whole lot to do. And when she threw his pills into the river, it was kind of a weak throw. Just saying.
And she was in
Not a whole lot of mustard on that.
Princess Anna. The TV
Okay,
show
I
where
do
they were
remember her in
going
that
all
actually.
the
Yep,
yep.
the
She
fairy
was in
tale show.
10
Yep,
episodes.
that was the Frozen season 4. That was the Frozen
Yeah.
season, I think 4 or 5. Dude, all right, well, she's blonde. It makes sense. She looks like him. Um, and I don't have any other closing thoughts on it. It was too straightforward and a fair. I mean, if we're doing ratings, I think enough of it starts to come apart at the seams at the end for me. Like I said, there was some jarring bits of dialogue, and maybe it was just cut to hell, and the script really just got kind of weak. I'm gonna go 2.5 on this one. I don't think I can go any higher than that. There wasn't enough gut punch for me.
It was an enjoyable movie. I'm glad I watched it. It was entertaining. It was
Mhm.
original. I mean, because they didn't go with
Yep.
the your standard tropes or anything like that. They didn't try to go with too big of a twist or try to be the smartest person in the room. It was a simple, enjoyable movie. I would give it a 3, C plus, possibly
Fair. I
right
think it's
around
fair.
there.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
I'd watch it again if, like, say, my wife wanted to watch it while I was home. I'll watch it again with her. I won't
Yeah,
seek
I
out to
guess that's a
watch it.
strong
Like, I won't
point.
go on like, oh man, I'm gonna
Yeah,
go watch this again. But like,
this isn't the annual watch. This
yeah.
isn't this
But
isn't on
if
the
like I
annual
go
watch
home,
list
my
for
wife's
sure.
like, let's watch a movie. I want to watch this, and she didn't want to watch it because she was, she's alone right now. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it again with you.
Yeah, I think one of the things it does have going for it as we get out of here, I think you mentioned the runtime was like 109 minutes. It had pretty good pacing for the film. Like I wasn't looking at my phone. I think I checked my phone once because I actually had a buzz, and I was like, oh, I got to check that out. I had a day off from work, so I had to check that out. But yeah, it didn't pad it out to 2:15, 2 hours 15, where I'm like, oh come on, just burn the restaurant down, just get rid of it. It was never
Yeah,
like
and you
that. So
didn't have
yeah,
the
if you can
the
pick it up on a
big
watch, that's how you
the
do it.
comeback dead thing where they come back and like the last jump scare at the end.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
didn't do
yeah,
that, which I was glad. Like, or
yeah.
like if
I
they
guess like you
burned
said,
it
it
down,
was
like then you see like Freddy come charging out on fire.
the hand just goes up. Oh, dude, I want to see one of them things on fire with like one glowing red. Now that you mention it, I got to take a half a star off my rating. I got to go down to 2. They should have burned one of them suits. That should have been a thing. I'm
Yeah, but then you're
sorry.
burning
That'd have been creepy as fuck.
the ghost of one of those kids.
Yeah, dude, but see, I'm thinking, fuck them kids at this point. The kids were bad. This is to me, this is like the Ring now, where like these 5 kids wanted another playmate. Like their souls had been corrupted at this point. Like they were trying to steal the sister. Fuck these kids. You know what I mean? I can't back that. I was on their side up until that moment, and then like that Ring scene hit where the little boy says to his mom, like, "You helped her? Why did you do that? Why did you let her out?" Like that was my moment. Like when they were like, "We just want your sister." Like have us murder her and put her in the doll suit, which was the creepiest suit of the 6 by far. Porcelain doll face that had the rib cage with the metal shit and everything. Like that, dude,
the whole
awesome.
thing.
Yeah, dude, that was awesome. Yeah, dude, that was a highlight part for me like that. I'm like, that's creepy as fuck. More of that, please. Like, if you make all your money and you make a second one, more of that. Like, way more of that. More chase scenes through the restaurant would have been kind of cool. Because that's the game. The entire game is the evasion through, like, the facility that you're in and slamming doors behind you. Checking cameras, getting lights back on. Like, very Dead by Daylight in a way.
I mean, one of the good things and one of the hardest things to do is adapt a book. It's even twice as hard to adapt a video game because do you go with gameplay
just ask Resident Evil.
People in the universe. So I think they put people in the universe. They did not adapt the game, and I'm glad they didn't adapt the game because I think it would have been a really boring 109 minutes.
Oh, I think you're right because I went back and I asked my kid. I said, I asked him like plot point wise and like lore wise. I said, is this, and he goes, that's right. The cop, the this, the that. That's not right. That's not right. I'm like, you know what? All the backstory with Josh and his brother and the sister and the parents and all that stuff. That's they made that up in the movie and like good job. Like the movie needed that. Otherwise, like you said, it's a movie where I'm watching people run from Michael Myers for 90 minutes, but they're in a fuzzy bear suit, and that's like cable movie for me. Like it doesn't get a rating at that point. It's kind of crap
on the Sci-Fi
right.
Channel
It's kind of like right, and it's nothing. Nothing I'd be crazy over the top interested. But guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us. I think we covered Five Nights at Freddy's. We both more or less enjoyed it. We would advise, if you've got kids that are probably pre-teenish, that's probably the low end of the cutoff for having kids go out to see that or catching it on Peacock. It's already made its money back without a doubt. They're getting paid over there at Peacock. I would expect sequels to this because they left it open ended, and it's not like that somebody else couldn't take the job for reasons elsewhere. You know, somebody else could walk in and reopen it. Who knows? But King Z, read us out of here, my friend, and thank you for stopping by and getting this video done on such short notice. Appreciate
All right.
you.
Well, thanks for sticking with us, you Lords of Winter. And here we go. Is you know what to do. You know to hit that subscribe button. You know hit that thumbs up button. You know hit the notification button. So you don't need me to tell you again. But what I do need you to do is say goodbye to us. And with we're here and you there, it's time for the camera to go.